What's up, guys? My name is Paraplegic Sloth, and hello, welcome along to episode 29 of the Supreme Commander Force Alliance Forever Community Cast Library. I dropped off the face of the planet once again in December, and what happened was my wife's pregnant. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but the baby came early, so I was anticipating that I'd get a few weeks off over Christmas. And I would actually spend that time doing a lot of content to hopefully help bridge some or all of a gap of when the baby was born. It didn't happen because baby had other ideas. So yeah, hi, Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a good Christmas and New Year. And we're going to start trying to get some content out once again for this fantastic game. However, I'm going to be in need of replays. My game time has been pretty severely reduced. Certainly any like cognitive brain time where I'm not dying of sleep deprivation anyway. So where I was starting to look through replays before, I really literally don't have time to do that anymore. So if you guys want FAF content, I need replays. So I'm sorry, that's just the way it's going to have to be moving forward. I will try and get out some more POV content as well, and perhaps do another Europa Universalis series or something. There'll be other stuff. There are other games coming out as well that I'd like to do content on. Anyway, enough procrastination from my end. Let's kick off with today's action. Something a little bit different, but it's what I got sent, and I think it was pretty good actually. So let's give it a whirl and see what you guys think. Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to some ladder, kicking off 2019 with a 1 versus 1 on the 20 by 20 map, The Ditch. So on the left side of the map going yellow and UEF coming in at 2000, it is Turin to Rumbar. And then over on the right side of the map going purple and coming in at 2200 going super sexy Cybran, it is Obfuscation. I'm thinking that's Bloodear. Someone told me it was Bloodear, so we're just going to call him Bloodear because it's easier. I remember the name better. So both players opening first land on this one, and then going into T1 P-Gens. The layout of both players being a little bit different now, and we just see Turin actually adjusting his around to fit in the way he wants things to go. So there's quite a few T1 P-Gens there queued down for Turin, but he's going second and third land and fourth air with 4, 6, 8, about 12 T1 P-Gens in the mix there as well. For Bloodear, it's first air, and then we've got 4, 8, 10, another 10 T1 P-Gens before he goes into a second air factory. Both early engineers from these players going for reclaim as opposed to getting up core mexes. That, to me, I'm not an expert at 1v1, by the way, guys, so there's a lot that I will see that I'll think, I wouldn't have thought to do it like that, and this is one of those things. I wouldn't have thought that you would leave your starting mexes vacant for so long, but both players with their first 2 engineers at least are going straight into reclaim. Turin Turumbar electing to use an attack order to gather up his reclaim, and Bloodear doing it the more old, tried and tested, trusty way of manual reclaim. I was always taught that manual reclaim, best reclaim, but c'est la vie. So we've got an engineer going northward from Bloodear to get manual reclaim, and then one going southward. And Turin has only opted to do the one reclaiming engineer. The subsequent 4, now 5 engineers from Turin have gone all into power production, basically just assisting the ACU. And as we can see, we're hopping into Turin now, and he doesn't have an economy problem right now, so not taking those 4 mexes hasn't hurt him too much, and it looks like he's going to start getting some additional factories online sooner, having had all the assistance from those engineers, whereas Bloodear has spread himself a little bit thinner and he's got less assistance on his ACU. But Bloodear going straight into second air factory, and by the time Bloodear has finished his second air factory, Turin has already gone second, third and second, third land with fourth air and some more T1 P-gens queued up here. And now we're just starting to see the starting mexes filled out for Turin, and Bloodier was a little bit quicker to take his mexes. So for those that don't know, very standard play. It's pretty much a must-do tactic on a 20 by 20 map, particularly 1 versus 1, is a transport rush. And there we see Bloodier's transport straight off the production line, loaded up with 4 engineers. Turin is going a little bit different. His transport is the third thing off of his air factory's line, and as we can just see there, Turin with a perfect scout intercepting the transport of Bloodier, and now Turin is going to try and hunt that down with his interceptors. And I'm not sure if sending that scout south was a little bit of a mistake, because there's not enough line of sight now. So it depends how close this drop is, but if this transport is close to dying by the time it drops those engineers, then not sending the scout with the interceptors was a mistake. And yes, not sending the scout was a mistake. One more shot on that transport and it would have died before the engineers got dropped, and that scout would have just given enough vision to get that extra shot or 2 off. So very fine margin, of course, and Turin needs to see other areas of the map. It's not just about that drop, but stopping that drop happening on the first attempt would have been a huge coup for Turin, and he's only just failed to do it. But Bloodier marches on, and he's got his top expansion area drop now, and Turin has got his bottom expansion area drop. There's been no challenge from Bloodier on Turin's dropping. He's just mainly focusing on his own expansion and economy. And speaking of economy, let's take a quick look at the early figures here. And Bloodier with an income of 18 currently to Turin's 15. Was there a power issue there for Turin? There is a power issue for Turin. He has been e-stalling. He continues to e-stall, and we've got a whole lot of T1 P-gens queued up, as well as a whole lot of factories here for Turin. So the T1 stage on this map, vitally important to, well, pretty much always. And there's actually a engineer drop coming over from Turin here, so I'm thinking that maybe Turin thinks taking out that transport will slow Bloodier down, taking his southern expansion, and if Turin therefore can get an engineer drop in and a fire base or a production area set up on Bloodier's side of the map, he might be able to take the whole bottom portion of the map here and take away half of Bloodier's expansion. I think that's the idea from Turin. If only he would give these engineers some orders. It's very easy for me to say. The APM that these two must be going through right now is dazzling, to say the least. And now Bloodier getting his southern expansion dropped, so Bloodier replacing the destroyed T1 transport pretty quickly, so it's not going to slow him down too much. And already Bloodier is starting to project some T1 units across the northern perimeter of the map, and we've actually got some T1 bombers coming out from Turin now, and they're making a beeline over to the southern area of Bloodier's expansion. So perhaps Turin looking to target something like these 4 engineers would be an amazing target to go for, but unfortunately I think he's going to run this bomber straight into the T1 interceptors of Bloodier, and this poor little bomber won't get to fire a shot in vain as it perishes instantly. And Bloodier with his own T1 bombers out now, and that one taking out all 4 engineers on its first pass. So the drop from Turin dead in its tracks. It was a good idea, but just, I think Bloodier knew exactly what was happening at every stage there and just knew what to do. As you'd expect for a 2200. 2200, it's insane. So there's a little drop here from Turin, just off the central island, and I'm guessing that's for reclaim purposes. I'm not sure why it just wouldn't drop on the island unless he's looking to get a navy factory up there. I'm not too sure what the thinking is there. And we'll just take a quick look at the reclaim heat map yet. We haven't done that yet, and obviously both players have already got a lot of reclaim under their belts, but there's a lot of reclaim on this map. I didn't quite finish looking off at economy, did I? So Turin with a lead now of 53 income mass per tick to Bloodier's, well, it was 30 something, but it's now 50 something. I'm guessing Bloodier is also experiencing power issues, and Bloodier is now experiencing power issues. But if we just take a look at total income for the time being, and Turin is 43 to 37,000 mass total income, and in power terms that is 3,200 to 2,000 in favor of Turin. So actually that's wrong, 440,000 to 345,000 total power income. My apologies. So Turin here with an early economic advantage, just as Bloodier has had a little bit of extra work to do in his southern expansion area. He's still filling out the core mexes of the southern expansion as he annihilates the remainder of the earlier drop, and Bloodier now just starting to head off any units that may be advancing from the bottom right corner, and of course we know that there are, but only just a sporadic few right now, so the group sent down by Bloodier will be more than enough to hold back the tsunami of T1 spam being projected along the bottom of the map by Turin. I'm not actually a big fan of this tactic on this map, and I'm pretty sure it's meta, like thou must make 1 billion factories and spam Mantis or whatever at your opponent along the top and bottom of the map, but I'd argue that I don't think it's actually particularly effective. I mean, just the fact that there's a choke point here on both sides, I don't know. I don't like it. One thing that I do like is Bloodier is getting some T2 gunships online, and of course Turin is UEF, so he doesn't have access to swift winds, which means he's going to be stuck on T1 interceptors until he gets to the T3 air, obviously. But what that means on a 20x20 map is that T1 interceptors are really slow, and it's really difficult to, it's a big ass sky on a 20x20 map, right? So if Bloodier can kite around with some gunships and cause all sorts of annoying nuisances in different areas of the map, I really like the use of T2 gunships here by Bloodier, although not particularly effective as of yet. But we do have 2 Mantis that have denied 3 mass extractors here on Turin's half of the map. And we do actually have T3 air up from Turin right now, and he's just starting to build a strat bomber there, and it was paused, so I'm wondering, well, it's not paused now as the T3 PGen comes online from Turin, and that's why it was paused, because that's a huge power stall immediately following the recommencement of the strat bomber construction. Of course, all the assisting from the engineers won't be helping that power, but it will be getting that strat bomber out as quick as possible, and that is of course what Turin is trying to achieve. We also have T3 air now up from Bloodier. No T3 power as of yet, so Bloodier still slightly behind on economy, as we've touched on a couple of times now, and the T1 land spam wars projected at each other on both corners of the map are basically just cancelling themselves out, although I do see some gunships milling around from Bloodier, and that's got to be pretty frustrating for Turin. He's not got any AA in his mix, so the renegades being sent over from Bloodier have pretty much got free reign to mill around and do what they like, although Turin is now rediverting his T1 interceptors to take care of them, and I don't think this T2 Mex is going to die in time, and indeed it doesn't. The T1 Air taking care of that, and they'll now redeploy north to get these 3 pesky renegades as well. It would be much more effective if Blood Ear had sent 2 to the north expansion, 2 to the south expansion, and just try and be a general pain in the arse and cause Turin to really spread his micro or be successful. And Turin just projecting single file units into a clump of mantis. So both T1 efforts just cancelling each other out. We've now got the Strat Bomber online for Turin, and it's headed to the northern expansion area first, and it's taking out its second mass extractor. I think both may have been T2, although I'm not sure, but it's deciding not to take out that one in the north there, and then is wheeling back around for an assault on a Cat T2 Max. So this is some savage use of strat here from Turin. There's no ASF on the field yet for Blood Ear, and we've got a second strat now which is hitting the bottom expansion, and more T2 Maxes going up in a plume of vapor. Blood Ear chucking everything up in terms of T1 Air to try and take out the northern strat bomber, which is just leaving the one in the south all the time in the world to continue on its rampage of death and destruction. And even the one in the north still going strong, and it's now starting to cut its way south, having gouged out huge wounds in Blood Ear's economy and the northern expansion. It now starts to turn its attention to the main base, and Blood Ear has got all sorts of problems here now, and he just hasn't got T3R up quick enough. And there's a nice ground fired strat there from Turin right in the middle of this T3 extractor and P-Gen, taking out the surrounding engineers as well. And the one in the south continuing its rampage. And the one over the main base just managed to die by this ASF, although very low health the T3 P-Gen and Mass Extractor are. And does that get its bomb off in time? It does, and the whole T3 area in Blood Ear's base. It's taken Blood Ear forever to get that T3 P-Gen online, and excellent work done by Turin here with the use of the strat bombers, the air advantage being fully capitalized here. And there was even a strat there that came in and ground fired some of this reclaim thereafter. It didn't get a lot of the T3 extractor, but the T3 P-Gen wreck is damaged. So Turin now sensing that Blood Ear has managed to scramble together somewhat of a response to the strats being sent across, so it looks like that Turin just easing off on that tactic a little bit now, as Blood Ear now has his turn at sending in some single file T1 units, and the formationed assorted units from Turin will easily counter that push from Blood Ear. But Blood Ear does have a foothold over onto some expansion in Turin's half of the map, and indeed there we just saw the ASF of Blood Ear, finally an effective deterrent against the continued use of strat bombers by Turin. So both players now into the T3 air game. Blood Ear's got a lot of rebuilding to do. I don't know how many T2 maxes he lost there, but I felt like it was around the 10-12 mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It might have even been more than 12, you know. He definitely lost more than a dozen maxes, but I'm not sure all of them were T2. At least one of them was definitely T1, but still fantastic work done by Turin in the early T3 air game there. And let's take a look on how that has impacted the economy situation. So right now Turin on an income of 322. Bloodier is having power issues, I think, so Bloodier's reading of 121, perhaps not completely accurate, although he's not got power issues now, so it is accurate. So we'll jump over again to the more reliable total mass income, and it's 225,282 in the favour of Turin, and we'll just do a total power look as well, and it's 4.6 million power for Turin and 3.62 for Bloodier. So Turin here with a healthy economic lead going into minute 18 now, and it'll be worth taking a quick look at the air situation right now. So we've got 30 ASF on the field for Bloodier, and we must have a drop somewhere, because I'm picking up bricks when I'm doing an air shortcut, which means there are bricks in transports somewhere out there. I can't see them right now. Anyway, taking a look at the air situation for Turin, and we have 21 ASF. So Bloodier with a definite ASF lead here, and there's a whole lot of ASF over the main base of Turin here. Bloodier deciding not to turn on the stealth, and Bloodier's micro is actually, well, there was no micro, he's just trying to move them back, and they've been intercepted by the ASF group of Turin, and Turin's just mopped up a whole clean section there of ASF belonging to Bloodier, and that'll have carved out the numbers a bit more to parity. And now the bricks are coming in for a drop to the core area of Turin's base. So Bloodier now looking to extract some revenge for the horrific assaults inflicted by those strat bombers. Bloodier looking to return the favour with a drop of 4 bricks into the core area of Turin's base, and the bricks starting to wheel off in an anti-clockwise rotation around the top edge of Turin's base. And I think that was a little bit of a mistake there from Bloodier. If he'd wheeled south in a clockwise direction, all of Turin's e-storage, I think, let's just check, all of Turin's e-storage is there. You could have taken out the e-storage with one volley. There wasn't too much PD up at the time. I know the commander's there, but if you take out the e-storage, that could have been much sweatier for Turin, and dealing with this is now going to be. But there's definite air control here for Bloodier now. The downside of the epic strat tactics from Turin in the earlier T3 game was it cost him vital early ASF production, and Bloodier now looking like he's starting to turn the screw on his opponent. I don't think there was too much damage incurred so far by the bricks. They've got air support being offered up here, but the bricks now are just going to start marching into a wall of T1 PD that Turin's quickly thrown up after the drop came in. And also Turin chucking up some SAMs as well, which are going to really hurt the ASF of Bloodier. And there's been another drop on the northern edge of the core starting area of Turin, and again the bricks being dropped. Well, this time they're heading in a southerly direction, which is the direction I think they should have gone the first time. Of course, it's very easy for me to say when I can see everything in retrospective. So there is a loss of a T3 P-Gen, but ultimately I don't think there's too much damage being done here on Turin's core area. And also the commander just being allowed to keep the ability of overcharge isn't going to do much good for the success of the drop. The e-storage again right behind those bricks. And Turin still not managing to retake the foothold that Bloodir got on the kind of left-hand peninsular-ish bit here, but we do have an assorted unit group here with some Percivals in, so actually Turin can wipe that out when he deems it worthy of some micro. There's a single T2 Renegade now trying to work on this T3 mass extractor. We'll check in about half an hour to see if that was successful. And of course we've got the amphibious Percivals taking the shortcut across the northern pond, and Turin now looking like he wants to test a push into Bloodir's northern expansion area. We do have a whaler out from Bloodir now, and we've also got some bricks being produced in the area to repel that push. So at a quick glance, I'd say Turin is not going to be successful. And checking back in on the T3 extractor, well, he got it down to half health. Perhaps more importantly, the win for the Renegade was it took out the engineer that would have been capping that, I imagine. Oh, there's been a drop on the Bloodir side of the map, some counter Percival drops. I think they were drops. They might not have been. No, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think they were dropped, but he's run them into bricks, and 1 for 1, Percival, of course, as we all know, beat bricks, but when there is 6 of them versus 3, the bricks are gonna do just fine. More drops now coming up from Bloodir, and Bloodir now looking to cut through the south and then drop into the bottom of the starting area of Turin. It's an ambitious drop there. Whalers being moved across to Turin's side of the map as well, back in the north, and Turin has halted the push being sent along the top of the map, and we do actually have 3 Percivals starting to make a short hop across the body of water there, separating the 2 halves of the map, and these 3 Percivals now will start to make their way into Bloodir's northern expansion. And the whalers going back to work on T3 mass extractors. 2 bricks dropped off by Bloodir into Turin's core base. I don't see that being too successful. There's already some triads up. The commander is in relative close proximity, so he's going to need more than 2 bricks. He could send them south and perhaps cause problems just taking out the T3 mass extractors around the edge. Did I just see someone start a nuke? Yes, Turin going into a nuke construction here, and actually the brick's going to work on T3 power, and they look like they're getting a job done. I'm not sure the T3 PGen is going to go down. It's going to be really close, and the T3 PGen just about surviving there, but we've got more whalers moving across from Bloodir now. Bloodir still looks like he's got air control, and the push from the 3 Percivals stopped at this mass extractor here, and Bloodir's just tidying that up with a couple of whalers, as Turin probably forgot that they were there, and now Bloodir going into his own nuke. I wonder if they can see each other's nukes. And Bloodir cannot see Turin's nuke. And although he's only just started it, so you would expect it to be the case, but Turin can't see Bloodir's nuke either, so, well, surely he can see it now. Yeah. So Bloody can't see the nuke now. Whether or not he notices it right in the middle of all the ugly building spam, that is another thing. But Turin's nuke completed much quicker than Bloody's nuke. And let's just take a quick eco recap here, as both players starting to look like they're grounding each other into a stalemate. So Turin on a total mass income of 488,000 to Bloodier's 403,000, and total power income, there you are, 13.7 to 13 million in the favor of Bloodier. So Bloodier now turning the deficit from the power situation, but in terms of mass income, arguably the more important of the two. Turin some 75,000 mass ahead of his opponent. Apologies if you just heard my phone vibrate. And the T1 land spamathon in both corners is back on, although this time Turin chucking up some, well, that's a sizable number of Percivals here, and the still only T1 contingent from Bloodier is not going to be anywhere near enough to take out those Percivals, so there could potentially be a slow and protracted problem on the south for Bloodier as those Percivals slither their way forward. Over on in the central area, we finally got a T3 mass extractor that's being killed by Bloodier, and Bloodier now deciding that he likes the strat and he's going to send in some more whalers to take out more T3 mass extractors. So Bloodier continuing to try and take full advantage of his air superiority for the time being, and there's a whole squadron of whalers now making their way over. The whaler's not being really directed onto anything. I think they're just in a move pattern right now as he tries to congeal them together for maximum impact. And checking back in on the right, we've got a few bricks forward from Bloodier, but it's not going to be enough to deal with all the Percivals when most of them make that area. On the top area of the map, it looks like there's more than enough bricks to repel Turin's advances in that area, although we do have another half dozen Percivals swimming their way through the top pond. And the whale is now starting to cause problems for Turin. He's lost soon to be 3 capped T3 mexes here. Might even be 4 actually. And that looks like what Bloodier is setting his sights on now. He's not trying to take out the main base area. It's too well fortified. He's just going to dance around the expansion areas, I think, although now they're starting to move north again, so perhaps Bloodier just using the ASF to scout his opponent's base there just to see how much SAMs are in the area. And there's the nuke from Turin. Turin getting his nuke off first, unsurprising, and it's going for the starting area of Bloodier. Bloodier's got no SMD online, and now Bloodier's nuke. So both nukes here, I imagine, yeah, they're just going to cancel each other out. The only thing that Bloodier, and I'm sure he will, he needs to pull his air out before the nuke goes kaboom. And somewhere along the way all of the whalers died and they were going for the com, but Bloodier needs to pull those ASF out before the nuke gets there, otherwise he's going to completely surrender his air advantage. And there goes Bloodier's starting area. The nuke goes down. some T3 power. I'm pretty sure a T3 air HQ went down as well, and there goes the nuke in Turin's base. Did Turin lose his T3 air HQ as well? I think he did. So both players losing their T3 air HQs. They may have also lost their T3 land HQs. Well, Bloodair did not lose his T3 land HQ. It's in his northern expansion. But Turin actually may have lost his T3 land HQ. And he didn't, because he's making a T3 engineer right there, so it's somewhere where I can't see at the moment. But both players still with access to T3 land. And there was just a drop here on the northern expansion of Turin's side of the map. Just 2 bricks, not causing too much of a problem, but of course the real problem is that Turin has to think about it for 5 seconds on how to deal with that. Over on the bottom area of the map, the Percivals have managed to eradicate all of the units defending the choke point here, and Turin, if he has got the APM and starts pushing them forward, he might make some ground here, but saying that, I don't think he's going to, because with the air superiority, all Bloodair needs to do is keep pumping out whalers to take out any Percivals that get too close to sensitive areas. There's a couple of drops there just being brought back by Bloodair as they were chased down by a couple of T1 interceptors belonging to Turin. And over in the north area, Turin's actually managed to make some headway into Bloodair's northern expansion, taking out presumably a few capped T3 mass extractors and a couple of T3 PGens as well. So this match it's toed and throwed. There was some excellent work in the early air game from Turin, but Turin hasn't quite been able to find the killer blow throughout the match, and it just looks to me now that Bloodair has found something that he feels is going to work, and Turin hasn't really started to counter the air problem yet. Of course, he lost his T3 air HQ. I'm not even sure he's rebuilt that yet, you know. Yes, he has. It's right there. And actually, something that I may have completely overlooked here. Just let me check before he... Turin may have lost a lot more T3 power in the nuke than Bloodair did. Bloodair has got most of his T3 power in his northern expansion area. I'm pretty sure that Turin had nearly, if not all, of his T3 power in his core area that got nuked. So that will really compound an air problem. If that was the case, I should have been a little bit more thoughtful when that was being played out. And there's a massive drop of bricks coming in now as I paused just to see how effective all the mass T2 flak was going to be. Bloodair sacrificed an awful lot of ASF to make sure these bricks got dropped, and there's nothing in form of a defense now, so that's a really good execution of a strat there by Bloodair. And 12 bricks, 16 if you include the 3 that aren't being moved. We've got whalers moving in from the right side as well, as the bricks now start to make some serious gains. And what is Turin doing with his ACU here? He's walking his ACU straight into the bricks, and the bricks have seen the ACU instantly, and that has to be a bit of miss micro there from Turin. He's almost suicided himself on bricks there. He really didn't need to. Yeah, what was my ACU doing there? Turin says in what is now Observer Chat. So, a bit of a calamitous ending there for Turin. And just like that, Blodier gets the victory. And really interesting, I thought. I mean, Turin had an eco lead all the way through. He had great execution of early airplay with all the strat bomber players around Blodier. I mean, that would have finished off pretty much most people, I think. Like, what Turin did with the strats and the early air dominance would have finished off and won probably 90% of games. But when you're against the 2200, you just need to find that extra killer blow, hit them while they're down, and he didn't quite manage to do that. And although a very obscure way of winning them, I say obscure, it's not obscure, but it's a strange one. Winning a match that's gone 34 minutes to a drop like that, very strange. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed that replay. Hope you did as well. Thank you very much to the person that sent it in. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the stats before we wrap this one up. And of course, as we touched on that, Turin for much of the match with a lead in economy and finishing off with most mass income, pretty much 140,000 ahead of his opponent, and power income going to Blodier, and units built going to Turin. Although it didn't feel like that watching the replay, but that was really because of the air dominance that Blodier got in the game. So a lot of T1 land units, or just general land units, built by Turin, but on a 20 by 20 map, it's really hard to get something like Percival's to walk around the map and cause real problems for a player like Blodier. So Blodier, really fantastic airplay once he got to grips with the early play from Turin with the strat bombers, and of course Blodier coming out with most kills. So that wraps this one up. Thank you for watching, guys. Please don't forget to support the channel, leave a like, leave a comment. What did you think? What do you think about the T1 spam into the corners with the choke points? I just don't think it should be a meta for this map, but what do you guys think? Right, take care, guys. Thank you very much. Goodbye.